Hello, good morning. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Nova, Universidade Nova de Lisboa. Welcome to Lisbon. Dear colleagues, it's with great joy that I see here a full auditorium, and probably at home we also have a full web streamed. So I would like to first thank each one of you that took the time and took the interest to come. And we hope that today will be a day full of fruitful discussions, and then we can all as a community move forward in terms of the professionalization, the recognition, the upskilling of our research management profession. I will not take too long because we are already 5 minutes after the agenda, and I know that we have many things to discuss today. So I would just like to welcome you, and I will start by also inviting Dr. Hélder Lopes to come to the stage to do the institutional welcome for Universidade Nova de Lisboa, and then I will follow with the other welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Good morning and welcome. So my name is Hélder Lopes. I'm Director of the Research and Innovation Support Office here at Nova's Rectorate. And it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all at Nova University Lisbon at this event. And it's actually great to see so many people in the auditorium as a clear demonstration of the vitality of research and innovation management. And I would like also to thank the organizers for inviting me, but also for the results achieved so far in this very important project. And I would like also to take the opportunity to send greetings from our Vice Rector for Research and Innovation, Professor Isabel Rocha, who unfortunately could not be here today, but she is a full supporter of this event and fully acknowledges the importance of research and innovation management and research managers as well. So just a brief overview about Nova University Lisbon. We have over 25,000 students and more than 2,700 academics and researchers. Nova comprises 9 schools that are scattered across the Great Lisbon area and covering a wide range of topics from medicine, health and life sciences to social sciences and humanities, law, data science, business and economics, and many others. So we are a comprehensive university with 39 R&D units, 10 associate laboratories, and also involved in 15 research infrastructures. And 80% of these infrastructures are actually part of international networks such as ESFRI or ERIC. Our R&D revenues grew by 60% in the past 5 years, and we have more than 500 ongoing R&D projects at this time, managing a total associated budget of more than 180 million euros. And like it happened in the H2020 program, Nova stands out as the Portuguese leading university in securing Horizon Europe research funding per capita. We are talking about 75 million euros across over 130 projects since 2021, which is quite impressive for our dimension. Nova researchers have been awarded 34 ERC grants, so we are also in the leading position as the Portuguese university with the best ratio of ERC grantees per total of R&D personnel. And I also have some results to share about knowledge transfer and valorization, but since we are already behind the schedule, I will not. But why the question is, so you might be wondering why I'm bothering you with all these numbers, facts, and figures. And there's a clear reason for this. It's because this is also pretty much associated with the scope of this event, because we truly believe that these would not have been possible, all these results, without the dedication of our research managers in the different schools and research centers. Because we believe that behind every successful grant application, every groundbreaking discovery, and every transformative project lies the dedication, expertise, and efforts of our research managers. So you all will probably agree if I state that research managers are kind of the hidden heroes behind the scenes that orchestrate and facilitate these complex processes that underpin successful research, from securing funding, managing budgets, navigating regulatory frameworks, communicating science, many more. Your contributions are very, very important for this. And this extends far beyond of pure administrative tasks. We are actually take part as strategic partners and catalysts for change within our academic institutions. So as we gather here today, it will be also important to reflect on the imperative of creating framework conditions for research management to strengthen the European research area. And we have a speaker that will talk about this, addressing this topic soon. And lastly, but certainly not least, let me stress the crucial need for career acknowledgement for research managers. Very often the contributions of these professionals go unnoticed or undervalued and are overshadowed by the academic achievements of researchers themselves. So we have been advocating for the professional recognition and advancement of research management as a distinct career path. And this is why at NOVA, one of the key priorities for this year, also underlined by our Vice Rector, Research and Innovation Director, to create and recognize a career for research and innovation managers at our university. We are still in the early stages of the process, but so I also hope that this event will also contribute to help framing the practice. So thank you for being here. I wish you a great event, fruitful, very interesting and fruitful discussions. For those coming from abroad in EARMA, and I hope you enjoyed the sessions, but also our beautiful city of Lisbon. Thank you.
Thank you, Hélder, for such important words, and it makes my heart full to have an institution that has SEs as partners and recognize the importance of this profession in their many broad spectrum. So thank you a lot. And as Hélder mentioned, NOVA has many schools. My school is the Information Management School. So I will ask Professor Diego Costa Pinto, the Vice Dean for Research at NOVA IMS, to do just a short welcome, and we will then start our event. Thank you.
Hello to all and welcome from different countries. And it's very beautiful for us to see all the research managers gathering this big project across Europe. European projects are very challenging to do. We know that. And here we have at the school, Cristina doing the work package too, with the help of all of you, because we know European projects cannot be done alone. And as Professor Hélder said, I hope you enjoyed this event and I hope you enjoyed Lisbon, bringing a lot of impact, not just for NOVA, but also for your schools. So thank you very much for that. Have a great day. Thank you.
Okay, so now that we have the welcomes done, and thank you again for your time and kind words, we'll set the stage now for the first discussion. So I would like to ask our speakers to come to the room and sit down here. So I will ask Marc Mattis, police officer from the DG for Research and Innovation from the European Commission. Thank you. He will let us know about the latest. Okay, Marc will let us know about the latest developments in the ERA Action 17, the RM initiative. Following, I will also ask, yes, Nik Claesen as the Managing Director of EARMA and the coordinator of the RM Roadmap project that will also share the insights of what we have been doing in the project as well as our future plans. And lastly, but not the least, we have Marilu Ramos Pamplona from the University of Liège, who is also sharing the lights of another important project. This time it will be CADEA project. So if we can all sit down here, we have the screen so you can also see the other presentation. And I think I will just directly ask Marc Mattis to come to the stage and do the presentation. And thank you. We will have time for questions and answers after all of you presenting. Thank you.
So thanks for this warm welcome. It's amazing to be here and to see all of you in this room. I mean, maybe we can put already yeah, perfect. As I was introduced, I'm working in the European Commission on the topic of research management in the DG RTD. And to be honest, I'm quite new to this topic. You know probably from the bottom perspective way more than I do. So I won't bother you with anything about what research managers do, what can we do more for you, because you know it probably better than me. And this is why we need actually projects like Roadmap to get this information to the Commission, to the policymakers, so that we can provide a helpful support for you. So starting a bit of the policy background, this is what I can provide to you. I mean, you know why it's important, you know what you do. I can provide you the more top-down perspective on research management. In the Treaty of Lisbon, nice coincidence, by the way, that today we are in Lisbon, there's one article, 187, which states whatever it takes approach for research, which means the Commission can help with whatever they seem valuable for research to improve it all over Europe and even wider than this. And since December last year, the Council has a recommendation which actually states research management precisely and clearly in the topic. So there you can see how important research management is for the European Commission. All the steps in between are anecdotal. What we are right now is the European Union has seen the need, the value of research management, and we can work together on improving this. What can the European Commission do? Of course, we have some money, we have funding, and you know best what has to be done. So this is why we founded the two projects, which are also sitting next to us, Roadmap and CADEA. Talking about what they are doing, we will have the opportunity later, so I won't go into detail, but I want to use this opportunity, this occasion, to thank them for the great work. It's extremely helpful, and we are glad to work with both of you. Thanks for this. Going now a bit more into the challenges we see from the European Commission, we see from the policy side on this. I can't talk about everything, about all of it. This would be like a 2 days lecture on this topic. So I want to focus on the ones we are working on quite right now to solve them. We have distinguished 4 different topics we want to work on in the far short term. First of all, we need a definition. We need to know what are we talking about when we talk about research management. I mean, you all work in this field, you know what it is, but if you need to have one sentence to describe it to somebody who has no idea about it, I think everybody here in the room will have a different approach, different idea of explaining it. But for policymaking, the problem is that we have to talk to everybody the same language. So we need a clear definition of what research management is. Secondly, we are talking about recognition. We need the research performing institutions, the research founding organizations to see the value of research management. We need them to acknowledge that they have an additional value from supporting research management. And to get this information to the organizations, institutions, we need to find ways, we need to find methods. And it's great that you are here working in a lot of different fields. You can bring actually this value to your organization. Thirdly, when you have research managers, it's a right now I would say fragmented field. Everybody has a different approach to go to it. Everybody has a slightly different idea what it is about. So there's no standardized training, no standardized competency definition. So everybody goes in a bit different direction, which is beautiful in the way it creates diversity, but it's difficult in the way of pursuing your career, in the way of following your path in research management. So the idea is also to tackle this problem I created a framework for some standardized training, valuing the most important competencies and helping you then in your career. Last but not least, this occasion is a perfect example for this, networking. I just had the discussion with one of your colleagues, just with a coffee before this meeting. He was telling me about a lot of different research managers working in different parts of its university, but not knowing that research managers are working in other departments and doing more or less the same work. And this is why networking is important, because you have your experience, you have your knowledge, but why to reinvent always the wheel? Exchange with other people can get you much faster to your goal and also increases the visibility of research management if you are a big group instead of only one single person. So, going now a bit more into detail, the definition. And as I explained, we need a common basis. And this is not just only a semantic exercise. We need clear definition to have a common basis. What are we talking about? While creating this definition, which, by the way, probably won't be perfect from the first try. I mean, getting a perfect definition will take a long time, but it's the first step. By making this exercise, we will automatically also get a benchmark of what is research management right now. What are you working on? Because you can create a definition only on what is already done. And we need this definition as a starting point for further developments, for further policies. Because once we know exactly what we are talking about, we can then develop specific pointed actions on this topic. So the process of finding this definition is ongoing right now. Not only inside the Commission, we have the great support from Nik on this topic. And we hope to find a commonly agreed definition in a short time. Going to the recognition. First part is, not everybody knows what is research management. When I started working in the Commission on research management and I had to explain people what it is about, well, I always use the sentence, well, research managers do the stuff researchers don't want to do. Well, I know it's not entirely true, but this is like shows a bit how it is difficult to explain to people what research managers are doing. And it's not about only people who are outside of the research world. Sometimes it's even in the research world itself. I had a discussion with one of my former university directors about research management, and I actually had to explain to him what research managers are doing and why it's a good idea for his university to value this, to have research managers in their stuff. Secondly, by getting this recognition, by raising the awareness on research managers, we help these organizations to get better, to improve their work, because you know it best. If you have research managers, this helps excessively the research itself. Researchers can then focus on the actual research. And for this, we have an awareness raising campaign from the side of the Commission under preparation. But to be honest, I would ask you for your help, because in order to spread this, we need some success stories. We need examples of where research managers actually helped. So please take out your phones, scan this QR code. This is a small survey we have from the Commission with the support from some experts. One is sitting here, Margarita. Thanks a lot for helping on developing this, where we want to collect success stories you have, where you can spread your experience and help for research managers, on the one hand, to get the awareness, the recognition, but also for other research managers to learn from your success story, to get inspired. And of course, feel free to share this link to everybody you feel comfortable with, who you might have some valuable story to tell. And we would be really glad to then use this. And then, sorry for this, my error. Please save the link. I'm gonna publish it just after this event. It's gonna be it's the same link. Don't worry about it. Yeah, and you also will get the slides so you can save later. So sorry for this. Yeah. You see, maybe I also need some manager on my side who takes care of this. Going now to the next point of training. Yes, we have research managers already working. They know what they do. But for the next generation, or even for you to improving your service, to improving your work, we need a common training. But before you can start developing a training, you first need to know what are the competencies needed by research managers. And for this, CADEA is helping us with, they already provided us an extremely helpful competency framework. We are, analyzing right now, discussing right now internal to the Commission, more broadly in the following months. And we hope to be able to publish a competency framework similar to the one on researchers. Maybe some of you know ResearchComp. And to have a framework which will be then the basis for everyone to develop their trainings, to develop their support for research managers. Last but not least, one of the most important points for me, and that's actually why I'm extremely happy to be here, is the networking aspect. You're all here together. You are all have different stories. You all have different things to bring to research management. Please exchange. Please create your own network. Please learn one from each other so that the community rises. And with a rising community, we also will have then the possibility to have more pressure on the policy to show how important this, how big the community is. And roadmap is with this event and all his work doing a great job on this, like having all these ambassadors here. Actually, I was not expecting to have so many people here in the room and also online. And this is extremely helpful for us, not only for the network itself, but also for us to get the insights from the bases, to get the information from the base. We don't have to find now every single part, where is a research manager, where he can help. We can now go directly to the network, and this needs to be more broad, more wider, so that just by creating the links together, research management will spread and become more valuable for research in the European Union. By this, I want to thank you. Have a great event. I'm looking forward to talk as much of you as possible, and have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you for the insights of the European Commission on the subject. We will have then place for questions. I'm sure there will be several of them, but now I will ask Nik Claesen to present the roadmap, RM roadmap project.
Thank you, Marc. Thank you, Christina. Thank you so much, NOVA, for hosting us here in this wonderful room. It's a very exciting time, and I'm very happy to see all of the ambassadors there and to see what we've been able to achieve so far. I will be giving you a very short overview of what the project is, and very short because many of you have been very engaged with the project for quite a while and have heard me do this presentation a number of times. There are also some new people in the room, but I want to take this opportunity to go to where are we now? What are we doing? What is the bigger picture? I think Marc has already said quite a few things about this bigger picture, but it goes back to the introductions as well, and what Christina was saying. What are we trying to do? What is the common project? Where are we going? What is the plan? What is the roadmap, right? And the roadmap is also our project, which is now a bit further than halfway already, right? So we have still about 18 months to go, a bit less. And in this plan, what do we want to do? So we've been talking about the definition there for a while. The definition, which is actually, we were hoping in the survey that it might be a clear answer, right? I mean, on the name of the definition, is it research manager? Is it research manager and administrator? Is it research support staff? The many different options that are there. But as you will see from the results that we are presenting later on, it's actually very split. And this is what Marc was getting to as well. One of the things we want to achieve is a definition, a name, a value proposition. This is extremely important because how will we get to professionalization? How will we get to recognition if we cannot say this is the name? This is the definition. This is the value proposition. But you know, of course, also that when we are trying to do this, when you have discussions on what this is a very difficult discussion. This is a very difficult discussion within a team, let alone an organization, let alone a country, let alone across Europe. So it's a very difficult proposition. And I have been in the lucky position to be able to witness a lot of these discussions, and often without, let's say, a satisfactory outcome. And we have to imagine also this goes to language a lot as well, right? Because we're talking about research management. The words research support are in there, research management and administration, right? So the connotation attached to the meaning of the word, the feeling of the word, the prestige of the words is very important, right? It's very important, but very different also in the national languages. And here, within this project, within the European Association, which I'm in and working for, it's extremely, well, the language itself, some people don't like support for many reasons and goes often back to their national language. Some people don't like management because it doesn't make sense. But also on the other hand, in some national languages, the element of support is ingrained and it is self-evident, and it is a position of esteem. So this language I want to point to as well is a very important thing, because we must agree, and national language might be the solution itself as well, right? Because we can agree as a European community, this is what we say in English, right? Except for the as a European Union and as a wider Europe, except for the native English speakers, of course, which would there it would be the same indeed. But we can agree on what is the term, and then say in the national language this means this. But you might say, okay, does that solve things? Actually, it does solve a lot of things, because suddenly we have something. We have an anchor point, right? We have an anchor point somewhere to agree on. This is the name. This is the community that is part of it, and then we can start making the case to we have a problem in the end. And you will see this also, this is one of the reasons why the Commission is, I think, also quite keen to progress in this area, in this field, because when having policy discussions, especially with the added layer of complexity from the European level, this comes into play, right? Who Marc is, well, I don't want to put myself in Marc's place, but just think of the rationale of him going and advocating for this internally, or giving information internally, and then not being able to say, well, this is actually the name of what it is and the value proposition behind it. And we have, many of you have experienced this, I think, in different sort of degrees. So we're trying to solve that, and we're trying to get to a plan for Europe, an RM roadmap. So what we are trying to do is, we've set up a project which is to connect existing communities, to connect existing networks, bring them together. And in this discussion, because this discussion is happening, right? The Council in 2020 called for the professionalization of research management. It's been in different council conclusions. The Commission is working with it in the era, let's say, in the frame of the era, not only in Action 17, it's also in Action 4. It's also highly relevant. Action 4 is on researcher careers, Research Comp, which was mentioned. It's also highly relevant in the reform of research assessment. And when you look at all of the era actions and the wider scope of this, research managers are involved in almost all of these parts and have a crucial connecting role to play there. So it's very important that we advance. This discussion is happening. And why do I say this? Because what we are trying to do within this project, a number of things, but also make sure that the voice of the research managers, the practitioners, our community is heard in this discussion, right? That we have a plan, that we can say who we are, that we can participate in this policy discussion to get to a solution which in the end makes the R&I system stronger, the European research area, but really very much also the national countries. And as you've noticed, the ambassadors are not only from the EU, but the larger European zone, because the game changer, in our opinion, is going to come at the national level. The people are hired at organizations which predominantly are funded in some sort of way through the national level, although some organizations do fantastic in European funding, they do fantastic in getting other funding as well. The national level is setting the stage, and this is also, of course, why the ERA is so important, because here it is member states, countries with Commission, with the European level, and we are trying to bring that all together and get to a common vision, because we really need a common vision, a common plan, and that's why we made it our roadmap. And that's how you have to understand your role also as the ambassador. So leading into what you have here, we want to connect the communities from the countries to get to a consensus, a bottom-up consensus about the future of research management. And then the second part, which actually Christina, who is sitting here, who you know, is leading on, is also to show what is already there, because there are things there. There's training opportunities, networking opportunities. There are many different things that are already there. So we want to make those more accessible, and we have chosen also to collaborate closely with the Cardea project to not have competing places where this is displayed, so to make it as accessible as we can to all. Next to this, of course, it goes to the plan, and the plan, I said, it started with the definition, the name, the definition, the value proposition, right? Because every community is asking policymakers for more support, for more attention, for more money, because they see what they can do with this and what they can achieve with this. But we have to also show, what do we do for the system? And this needs to be much stronger in the future, and this is what we're trying to do as well. We're trying to look at what is the value proposition. We are now really intensifying this this search for the value proposition that is starting to develop, and the project starting to come, because often the easy rationale is we say to our internal policymakers, you have more research managers, you will get more funding, right? You get more projects. But think about at the system level, of course. At the system level, in principle, the funder doesn't necessarily care what particular organization it goes to. They care that it is carried out in a good way, aligned with policy, right? So in that sense, we are internally making a good case, but at the system level, not necessarily making a good case. So we have to see, what do we do at the system level? And we're selling ourselves short by sticking too much to this rationale, because actually we do a lot for the system. We're an enabler for the system. We're a connector for the system. So we are looking there, and you see it on the right side of the slide, to clarify the role, the business case, the value proposition. We're going to look at a lot of things, but especially also efficiency and effectiveness, quality control, reducing administrative burden, trust and accountability, and there's quite a few other things that we as a community, I think, have a very important role to play. And if we can show this picture, we have a plan as a community at the European level, but also very much at the national level. And that's also how to understand very much that you're national ambassadors, that we're asking you to engage at the national level, bring that input, but also create the connections that in the future will allow you to have a more profound dialogue with your leaders, with your system, to get to a better situation. So this is the plan, the roadmap, what we're trying to achieve, and where the ambassadors come in to be a crucial part in this puzzle. We are doing this with a consortium, and we're thinking, how can we do this, right? What is our strength? We were trying to see, how can we involve as many people as possible without looking, okay, we can have a number of partners in the consortium, we give our opinions, we do this and that, and then we get to an outcome. We're trying to see, how can we make this a movement? How can we reach out to as broad a community as possible? And what we have chosen to do is start from a networking approach. We started from EARMA, ASTP, BestPrac also, which you see here, which was not a legal entity and is represented by also people with very high expertise in research management, by NOVA, by HEDFA, by Cyprus Institute. How can we get these networks going? How can we get these leaders and research management to reach out to the broader community? Crowd Helix, which is a software and impact accelerator, a dissemination partner, but also a network. And then we wanted to have a perspective as well on university alliances and how that plays into this whole picture, and not get alienated from the private sector as well, which we think is very important. So that is why we also have a big company in there, Janssen Pharmaceuticals of Johnson & Johnson. So this was the idea. How do we create a consortium that reaches out across Europe? And how do we do that? We do that with a platform. We do that with an outreach, but especially we do that with you, right? You are crucial in this story, and I want to take the opportunity also to thank all of you. This project, the impact that we're having, the outreach that we're having, is only possible because you have done an amazing job already in getting the discussion going. The reporting is one thing. The reporting is important. The feeding into the plan is important. Building the business case is important. But what you have done and what you are doing is making new connections between the different actors of the systems, of your systems, of your national systems as well. And this is really, really the crucial part of the story. And I want to thank you profoundly, because it could not work without that. And the results up to here, I think, are very, very good. The way we're trying to do this is these co-creation sessions that you understand, of course. So we are now at the dawn of the second co-creation session. And in this co-creation session, we're covering the topics here that you, I think, know very well, where the next one will be about who we are as research managers. Here, you have to understand also in the sense of your role. We have for the first time today with us the thematic ambassadors as well. We'll say a bit more about that in one of the following presentations. But the thematic ambassadors, the country ambassadors, what are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to achieve here? We are trying to give the national communities the opportunities to speak, and you are the liaison between this, the community builder between this, the leader in this story. So we know also from what we have set up, or the portal is not perfect. It has issues. We have excavated a lot of these issues in some of the online meetings. In the end, it has limitations. So we are asking you to take sort of the responsibility there and look what is needed in my system. What can we do? How can we add into this picture? And take initiative there, take responsibility there, be creative there, and work through the platform when you can, work through the platforms or other means that you might have on the other side. And the crucial thing that we have at the end of this co-creation exercise is the consensus document. And this is a thing you should especially focus on, because these consensus documents, and we get to it in the next session, this is a critical output that we immediately can also share with the people from the Commission. Marc said at the very beginning, we want also projects like this to feed into us, to inform us, but also to immediately feed into the member states and to feed into every national country, to see what is there, what are other countries doing, what are benchmarks, what are things that are interesting for our country, for our dialogue. So I hope you understand what we are trying to do is make sure that we get, let's say, an agreement at the European level, on the one hand, new connections at the European level and between the national level, and at the national level to give arguments, to give tools, to give thought leadership, to have a good national discussion on what is research management in our country and what should it be in our country. So this is what we are commonly trying to achieve, and I think achieving in a very good way up to here. And I thank you very much for making that possible. I want to also add on a more practical note, indeed, that we've got a lot of resources on the website, on the Helix. Go there, explore it. I think we have produced now over 1,000 pages of well-designed materials, not least among which the timeline, so you can see very well what we're trying to do up to the end of the project. But there are all sorts of guidelines, there are all sorts of PowerPoints that we have to guide you through the process. We know also, and we are very aware, we had a discussion about this in the General Assembly yesterday, that this is a lot of information, right? Some people want a lot of information and very detailed. Other people sort of have sort of less need for this, let's say. We're trying to provide it, but in the end, use common sense, use what you think is needed to fill in the vision that we have, and focus on the co-creation exercise, focus on the end of it, the consensus document. What is a useful outcome to have in the consensus document? We help to guide you there, but it's very important that you think with us and establish what is needed there. So this is the timeline. I hope I'm still doing okay for time, Christina, but I will wrap it. No, this is the final slide, so it's very good. So you will see resources here. I mentioned the website. I mentioned the Helix, the timeline, the ambassadors. We've got a lot of resources, and we've got a lot of fantastic momentum thanks to you. We hope we can continue it and make sure that this vision that I'm talking about, what we're trying to achieve, that we can all achieve that together in the best way. That is in the end, I think, why we are here. And yeah, let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nik, for almost almost stick with the time. But now for the last speaker, I will ask Marilou, and then we will open the floor for questions. This time we will listen about the Cardea project. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Before anything else, thank you to RM Roadmap for inviting Cardea to participate at this important ambassadors meeting. And thank you also to NOVA, especially Christina and Fatima, for hosting and for the really kind accommodation. As Christina mentioned, I will be talking on behalf of the Cardea project. So my name is Marilou, and I'm from the University of Liège in Belgium. So Cardea, in addition to being the acronym for career acknowledgement for research managers delivering for the European area, for those of you who may already know, actually is the Roman goddess of the door. So that's why we have this cute slogan, which says like, research managers open research doors. The main objective of the Cardea project is related to the recognition specific objective of ERA Action 17. And this essentially is related really to the professionalization of research management as a valued career choice. And the important thing here that we would like to deliver in the beginning is to have the identified competencies in addition, of course, to the definition of the research management, which would serve as a framework for setting benchmarks and indicators for the research management. So, as I mentioned, the key for my presentation, I will be presenting primarily on the work we have done, which hopefully would contribute to the European Career and Competence Framework for Research Management, which Marc has also mentioned. So the Cardea, just as a small aside about the Cardea project, we are made up of 8 partners, which are listed here. And the key strength that we leverage on is our experience in the HRS4R, or the Human Resource Strategy for Researchers, our participation in many European projects, and importantly, the participation in EURAXESS. So these 2 initiatives, the HRS4R and EURAXESS, hopefully would also provide some foundation in building the framework for, as they had helped researchers in the past, we hope to actually take experience from them to actually extend it to the research management. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm from the University of Liège, and like NOVA, it's a comprehensive university in the Francophone Belgium. We are higher education establishment and also research intensive. The specific unit that I represent is called RISE, Research, Innovation, Support, and Enterprise. This is the centralized support unit for research and innovation at the university. I list here a number of competency areas, which I would refer to later in my presentation, of which here there are 8. These ones actually present all the research management competency areas which are present directly in the RISE support unit in Liège, in my particular unit. And what here is not highlighted are those which we don't have a lot of in our specific unit. I would refer to them again later. Good. So, talking about the career and competence framework for research manager, the idea is actually, what would this be good for? What are the applications? So the basic thing is that we would like to have something which could actually be used across diverse employment sectors, notably academia and industry. Of course, I would like to say here that the targets for this framework is very challenging, and I would like to say here like suggestions or proposals that we have, but not to say that it would actually be an easy process, which Nik already alluded to in a way. So it hoped to be beneficial for research managers in a way that it would provide a common language for all of us to describe our roles, skills, and contribution. And importantly, it would also establish an understanding of the expectation to those not in research management of what the research management position is all about. And importantly, related to training, it would provide direction for research managers related to career progression and self-development. It should also be important for employers, as it's mentioned here by the director of R&I at NOVA. It should define the RM job profiles to ensure the best candidate position match when you're looking for such personnel. It should facilitate the identification of candidates from different sectors, because we acknowledge that research managers who work in academia have important transversal skills which would work in the non-academic sector as well. And importantly, it should set priorities for the organization, for the employer, related to the activities for career guidance and training for research managers, and should inform on the overall institutional human resource strategies. Importantly, of course, it should be an important document for public authorities to inform on the strategies to establish attractive employment conditions and training activities for research managers, and make based on international comparisons and standards. And for the European research area, for all of us, it should promote our mobility across regional borders, but also across employment sectors. And within the European research area itself should help attract highly skilled talent from third world countries. And of course, for society, I think, which is related to the initiative to make success stories, it should highlight and raise awareness and appreciation for the value of research managers. So, with such a challenging framework document, the characteristics that we needed to contain is one, of course, it should be inclusive, it should be applicable for all research managers, it should be accessible in a simple, understandable language, and it should be interoperable across sections. Again, not as easy as it seems. So, talking about the definition of research managers, we would just like to make a small, light proposition of what it could mean. So from CARDEA, we would like to say that research managers enable the performance and advancement of research and innovation in all its applications via generalist and/or specialist roles within the research and innovation ecosystem. This is a proposition. And of course, it's very broad. With regards to the career framework, we of course are suggesting 4 different career levels, which of course is a reference to the 4 career levels for researchers, so RM1 to RM4. What I have in the next slides, I'm sorry, I think it's too small, but I will share the slides with you, is that to actually specify the different career levels, RM1, RM2, RM3, and RM4, is that we need to all come together to actually talk about how to set these different parameters. So I will not go into details with these 2 slides, but in general, what we would like to propose is that to define these levels is we provide details with regard to the amount of knowledge, to the amount of experience, and to the amount of responsibility of research managers for colleagues, and also importantly, for the impact of their actions. So with the last point here, I'm sorry, it's too small. When we talk about the impact of the action of research managers, we'd like to think that the earlier level, the impact of their actions is only on their own, but as they progress to more important positions, the impact of their actions extends to their colleagues, to their unit, and to the whole organization. I apologize again that the text is too small. Okay, so now I will just go quickly about the competence framework. So we also have a proposal about the competence framework. So we proposed 8 competency areas, which I mentioned in my slide about the ULIEDGE, of which there are 42 examples of competencies and 672 learning outcomes according to 4 proficiency levels. Again, this is a proposal and a suggestion, and we would like to work, of course, with RM Roadmap and with all of you in defining the details for this competency framework. Here are the 8 competency areas which have been listed. At this point, while you're looking at it, I would like to emphasize that this is the work which has been done really strongly by our coordinator, Mary Kate O'Regan from the University of Cork. And this is actually a product of different activities, The first one of which is the survey which Cardea did in the beginning of the project. And the other part is the numerous focus groups and meetings and discussions to establish this proposal. So within the 8 competency areas are examples of competencies which are listed here. And again, these 3 dots at the end are actually to indicate that these are examples and we welcome more examples and they are not restricted to these ones. So these are the 2 competency areas in cognitive ability and these are the next 2 as well with the specific examples. All of these details are available in a document in the Cardea website, which is actually a living document and is updated regularly. Or the next 2 as well. So the idea is, again, with these different competency areas and the examples of the competencies, is that not all research managers should have all of them, but all high level of competency in the different competency areas, but should have at least some foundational level across all of them. So here are the proficiency levels of the different competencies, and it goes from foundational to expert. Sorry, we're reading from right to left now. And this is also the idea of how we would establish these different proficiency levels. So it would primarily have to do with the level of experience and with the research manager being able to do it without supervision or with supervision, and then in the progression in the career, whether they're able to actually train other research managers in the specific competency areas. Here are, in the last few slides for me, I would actually have just examples of the different learning outcomes for the different examples of the competencies in the competency area. So this one is in the competency area of specialized knowledge in the specific example of pre-award. This is very relevant for me or something I can relate to because I work one of my main responsibilities is as grants advisor. So what we propose is that at the foundational level, the research manager has a basic understanding of the research ecosystem. And you would see here the idea of how one progresses in this actually specific competency. And this is, of course, important because we then see, in order to reach the expert level, what kind of training do research managers need to have, whether it's through specific workshops or specific training, or perhaps even on-the-job experience. So the next type of example of the competence is for post-award. And again, we try to describe here or provide details on how a research manager differs in the proficiency from foundational to expert. And within my specific unit, as we work with innovation officers, we also try to have important information related to technology transfer, which perhaps some of you here is a specific thematic area for the ambassadors as well. And we define also the different proficiency levels here. So just to close, I would like to mention clearly that the Cardea proposal for the career and competency framework for research managers is a living document. There's a version which is on the Cardea website and it's updated. And we always actually not only welcome, but we strongly encourage your input. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentations, for all of your interesting presentations. We have about 20 minutes of questions, so we should take advantage of having such important speakers here with us today. And so I think I will sit down and I will bring the micro with me, and I will have the help of my colleagues to collect your questions. So it's an open now for the auditorium to ask the questions either for a specific speaker or for a broader one. So I will start with Marta and then we have Margarita on the other side. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Hello, good morning. Marta Agostinho, Executive Director of Review Life, and today here as in my role as a member of the advisory board of RM Roadmap. And thanks a lot for the very nice and good initial session today. I'm looking forward for the rest of the day. My question is for Marc, but I'm actually very grateful to Mary Lou for presenting the career and the competence framework so well. And I can see already there was a lot of evolution since last year, so thanks a lot for that. And what I missed, Marc, and that's my question to you in the presentation from the European Commission, is a clear reference to the career framework. So there was reference in the training for the competence framework, but actually for me as an assumed research manager, and I hope for many people in this room, the critical step in Europe in the upcoming 2 days, 2 days, yes, 2 years, but for us it would be 2 days, is to have a career framework. So what can we expect from the Commission in the next month?
Well, indeed, my presentation didn't want to miss out the career framework, which is definitely a crucial part. Why I didn't put it in there, it's because I wanted to focus on what we are doing right now. What is the actions we are doing in the moment? And the career framework, as already said, is so well advanced. It's for the moment, we don't need to put any actions on it. It's in a discussion for the future actions of the ERA program, of the ERA work plan. We have a really strong support from the member states on going on with research management and with the career framework. So this is for sure one of the priorities of the Commission, not for the exact moment right now, but more in the middle, long term. So yes, it is extremely important right now. We have no specific action on it right now because it's already existing. And we have to discuss this more in detail with the member states, with the council, so that it will for sure be continued. Don't worry about it. It's not forgotten at all, but it is not what we are working for the next months on. That's why it was not in the presentation.
Is this on? Oh, okay. Thank you for your presentations. So I have a question that is to all the panel members, so you can choose who can address it. But what I saw is that you are working really hard on trying to define what should be a research manager career and what should be the competencies. But you are highly focused on academic research. So how do you foresee that this could be transferred further on into industrial research and to outside of the academia research that is being done, and it's, I would say, much more competitive than it is in academia?
Hello, thank you for this question. So for me, it's just a brief comment that the proposal of CARDEA for a career and the competency framework, it doesn't just focus on the academic sector. I had specifically selected a number of examples, which are more for the academic sector because it's the one which is directly related to my own work. But actually, the document itself has a lot of the competency areas have specific examples of competencies for research managers in the industrial sector. Okay. And I invite you to have a look at it. And for my next presentation, I will be sure to include that as well.
Yes, indeed, I very much get your point. Also, the projects are mainly executed by and populated by academic actors. One of the main reasons behind this is also that the overarching policy context and the ERA Action 17, when you look at it, says Research Management Initiative is the easy title. If you look at the long title, it says public. This is one of the reasons also, and it's one of the things to address coming out of the overarching frame. Having said that, indeed, there is it is with a strong academic focus, I think, coming from this policy context. We have tried with, like I was saying, in the consortium, with the inclusion of a big company to make sure that we have, especially in the terminology, that we have a touching point where we can make this sort of let's say, converge in a better way. But really, this is a more even a mission for the future to make this align better. We are trying, which is already in a very challenging thing, to make academia agree mainly, right, and not alienating too far from it. Having said that, we've had also in the frame of other projects very good contacts with people doing research management within the business sector, and often even we had research integrity, for example, is maybe good thing, because we were talking about research integrity, but they were talking about data quality. Right? Because they wanted good data, because they wanted to achieve results, while we want to be sort of, it's in our values, so we must, well, it's not just the values, there's much more to research ethics and integrity than this. So point very well taken. It's from my perspective predominantly academic. We are thinking about this, and actually also when, well, this is, I'm not sure this is all in the public domain, but for the future ERA actions, I think there is also some more, well, in this space, some more attention for collaboration with business. Having said that, also the tech transfer community is strongly represented here as well, which also has a bridging function. And within the project through Crowd Helix, which is one of our partners, it's not there. It is going directly both to business and academic, but I do agree with you that it is mainly academic.
Okay, it works. So from the side of the Commission, you have already taken some points. It's not forgotten. It's in the documents. It's in the projects. The problem for the Commission side is it's based in DG RTD right now, the entire program, which is research from public institutions. If we want to include industry, we will have to include other DGs, other services inside, which will be an exercise way more complicated than this right now, which is a huge challenge, which is for a long-term perspective again, for a long-term future. So we are aware of it. We have it in the projects. We have it in our discussions. But to get some real tangible results on this, this will take way more time than for public organizations.
I'm Adriana Burlaș-Chiopoiu from University of Craiova, Romania, one of the ambassador, and I have a question for all participants. In the few years, the generation Z will be predominantly on the market, and I want to know if it's taking into account the relationship between talent management, artificial intelligence, and competencies of the future manager, because the project should be continued and should have a very, very good impact on the future generation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to start because I'm at the edge of being myself in Generation Z. So, seeing these competency and career frameworks which are produced right now from inside the generation viewer itself, I can say that they are already really well adapted to it, and they already take into account all of these developments. And especially talking about AI, this is in every discussion. This is a topic we are talking about religious waste. So yes, this is something we clearly are considering also, and we are aware of.
This is a very complex question and issue indeed. From our perspective, also very much, I'm talking now from more EARMA than our roadmap, because I cannot speak to the consortium. We don't have a, let's say, on AI, a commonly agreed position on that yet. But I can say that we see in the future two very important components of making the R&I system work better through research or through supporting research, and that is people and systems, including AI. AI is coming at a very rapid pace, and people are trying to adjust. Now, if this new generation comes in, indeed, I think it's very important that we have at least the basics, and we currently don't have all of the basics, right? What I'm talking about is the definition, the value proposition. So how will we accommodate to give them a structure to work in this complexer world with AI moving very quickly if we don't even agree on the basics throughout Europe. So this is one of the things that we are focusing on. And then also it will be up to the individual organizations, the national networks, the countries to also give more of a level to this in regards to how it will work with AI, what the reality will be for people in the job itself.
Just a few brief comments to this question. Thank you for this question. So just two small points. So with regards to the future generation, I think all the work that we are doing now, and this initiative is actually quite important because for one thing, we need to establish research management as really a career option for future generations and not just something you do because you fell out of science. So I think that would be important from this initiative. So really to set it, this is a career option for the future generation. And then when that is there and that is strongly established, we could also talk about that for this career, learning or adapting to the changes which are occurring now, such as artificial intelligence. We already try to do this, like for example, in my institution, like research managers to get training or discussions with ChatGPT to see whether this tool would be helpful for us, would be damaging for us, or will steal our jobs. So we already, and I'm sure in your institutions, those who work in this area and have a use for ChatGPT, you're already thinking about this or you're doing this as well. But I think it's important if we establish it as really an important career option, then we do move on with saying that what do they need to learn for the future to be better research managers and to work with all these tools, actually.
Hello, everybody. I'm Magdalena Ivanova from Bulgaria, Varna Free University. I am here with very big pleasure and would like to thank you for all organization. Very well done, because from my point of view, communication with the participants was very good. It is very good, in fact. And thank you to Fatima, to Janina, and everybody. Next, I think that we have to point out that we're speaking here between ourselves, and we have, let's say, very clear aims, very clear approaches to get to the new, how to say, definition and the identification of the research manager, which is excellent. But as few people mentioned before me, we have to go a bit out of all this inside communication, our discussion. Please, colleagues from European Commission, think how to involve business, because there are two main or three main sources for funding the science and research: state budget, projects, European projects, and private budgets. There is no more. We cannot create a new source of funding research and innovations. If we want innovations in Europe, we have to involve the people who are implement innovations. Without this, I don't think it will be the best result. Next thing, going ahead and thinking about Marc and everybody and Nik, what they're telling, and we need results, sustainable results for the future. Let's say not today, but tomorrow, the after tomorrow, 5, 10 years. It is time we to push a bit member states and universities, academia, to go ahead with training. Maybe, I know a lot of, not a lot, but enough universities are they are teaching, they have courses and master programs. And my proposal is you as a project director or as a European Commission to try to organize, could be even online session for the universities who provide trainings, different courses to present their their experience with another universities who are interested to implement, because we have to start to train young people, postdoctorate courses or even master degree courses, why not? Because if we need to have proper managers with these all nice, how they call it, skills and competencies, we need to start it immediately everywhere. Thank you for this.
Well, these it was not really a question, but we take your ideas and proposals with great interest. They are actually talking about the sources of founding. Yes, of course, we can't invent new sources. It's always the same. We can check out. That's why it's important that we keep into consideration the industry also as a source of founding. But as I already said, we are concentrating first on one topic and then spreading it out. You need some point of a starting point where you actually then can construct all the other stuff, all the other actions on. And that's actually also for the second part. We first need to have a starting point to then develop all these trainings, to then have even the universities being interested. They first need to know about it to then being interested in a training. So yes, this is really interesting. We need to do this. But unfortunately, we are maybe not there yet. But we will do our best to get there as soon and as fast and as good as possible.
Okay, I can add a few things to this also, which goes to your points. One, the first you started with saying, indeed, it's great that we are having this discussion, let's say, mainly among peers and among the people, sort of, even the ambassadors are a specific subset of people who have the most, let's say, knowledge and connections and discussions in this space. So indeed, let's also include other voices. I just want to say that within the frame of the project in task, sorry to get technical, but 3.2, there we will be asking all sorts of other people also to feed in, which would be policymakers, researchers, people from all sorts of different sort of backgrounds who could have different opinions. So that's one way that we would be tackling it. And then to your call for the need of education and potentially in bachelor's and masters, I can say that a lot of providers are thinking about this, doing this, may have executive programs already. I want to point also at the formation project, which is a project that has ended, but has achieved some significant sustainability results in that courses in bachelor's and master's trainings based on this work are being taught in a number of, I think, mainly universities. I also point at the EARMA program, which is happening in Osnabrück in Germany, which is also very interesting to look at, and also the work being done by the various associations and networks across Europe. But definitely in this case, talking about bachelor's and master's formation and EARMA would be important to take note of and to check out.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry, if I can add on what Nik has mentioned, also within the roadmap project, we are setting the scene to have a community in our knowledge and community platform where we will invite different training providers to share resources, share ideas to foster the creation of new training opportunities in multiple formats, such as masters, but also in-house training or others. So there is also within the project the creation of a community of exchanging ideas, exchanging best practices, and empower people that want to take the step further on the development of new training. Just this small ad. I think we have another question.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Andrea Zulum de Zwarte from the Netherlands. Thank you very much, all of you, for really interesting points. I have two questions, one for Marc and another one for Madelon. Now we are, I think, for the policy development in the EU level, we are in a very interesting time because of the EU elections will be coming up. So you can't really give us proper answers to everything that is going to be next year. So I understand that. However, we all are here working for a long term. And with excellent really presentation of Madelon and what's happening also within CARDIA. And also we know, ambassadors, what we are actually creating also in our countries. Beautiful document also after the first co-creation session. I need you to know that here you have friends. I would like to welcome you also to the community. It's a really great community to be a part of, but we also have a lot of challenges. So what I would like to ask is, whether with all these discussions with the member states, through program committees, through developing the new calls for the wide area, etc., could you maybe report to us, if it's possible, what are actual gaps that you see? There are some projects that we already have now funded. We are, of course, collecting data. There will be new projects submitted, hopefully very soon. And there will be new funding coming up. What are the gaps? Where can we direct our energy? Because it's quite busy. And how can we help you the best? Is it through the projects? Would you like to be actually involved in a different way? That would be also great to hear, not just through member states, because that's very official, but also how can we create a different bottom-up approach to feed you? And another thing is, please do start connecting with other colleagues from other DGs, because they will not wait, also developing their own policies. And if we can help you with that, just ask us, and then we are going to see in which countries it is possible and which countries it is actually not possible, because sometimes the platforms are different. We are seeing a lot of job crafting, AI, of course, coming in. It's everything is changing. So the questions that I've been getting 10 years ago, I'm getting now completely different questions because the ecosystem is different. The challenges are really much bigger globally. So we really have to be very well prepared, and we really need help from the Commission, not just more funding, but also structural funding. So that's my call for, but also a question, is this also something that is within the European Commission actually being seen, not just by you, because I see that you see it, but also by your colleagues or also by your heads of units. So that's for you. And also about that job crafting and having hybrid positions, I'm wondering whether CARDIA is already taking this into consideration during building of this beautiful working document.
Okay, so this was a huge question, but I'm gonna try to answer it as best as possible. Concerning the long term, I think the main idea was to have some security that research management is in the key interest and is the focus of the Commission and of the European Union, even with the elections. What I can tell you is that, of course, I don't know the outcome of the elections yet. This is something I can't predict. But what I can tell you is that from the member states, in the council, in every questioning, in every survey we make, research management is always in the top priorities. It's always one thing the member states really appreciate. They're valuing enormously what is already done, how it's going on. So there's a high momentum right now inside the Commission. And of course, I'm gonna take with great pleasure the proposal of getting in touch, and I take every help we can get, of course. We already are in contact with the other DGs. We are already discussing with them. It's always a bit more complicated because you don't have the fraud tracks. It's a bit more formalized, the exchanges. And concerning the scene in the hierarchy of the head of units, yes, it is seen, it is important. Actually, I had just preparing this, I had a huge discussion with my head of unit, what I should tell, how to explain to you. And I can confirm to you that for the Commission, for the member states, it's from high priority research management. The exercise of identifying the gaps is ongoing. We have this in the planning for the next work program ongoing. The discussion, it's not finalized yet, so unfortunately I can't give you the details yet or not. Even we are, of course, under friends, but it is always something we have to take care of, that we have something agreed on, we communicate. And for this, this will be communicated as fast as possible, but the elections from the parliament are one thing, yes, but be assured from the member states, from the current Commission, it is a high priority, and I see no indication that this will change in the next years.
Just a short comment. So thank you for this point and for highlighting the the challenges that research managers face, and more importantly, for saying that you are here to participate actively in the initiative. So that's really great, because I think that's what we actually need to move the initiative forward. So from a practical level, as I mentioned, the Career and Competency Framework proposal of CARDEA is a living document, and we welcome all your comments. So please have a look and email me and Mary Kate for whatever feedback you have on it. And the other thing is, I guess, let's try to make ourselves visible to people outside the research management community, to organize this activity so we're visible and our value is obvious. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for your presentations. I'm one of the ambassadors from Turkey, and I am pleased to see that there has been a lot of maturity in comparison to the Budapest meeting, particularly to what has been accomplished within the CARDEA project. I would like to say something and then have a suggestion and maybe ask what your suggestions, what your reaction would be. In Turkey, we have managed to mobilize something like 150 people around the whole concept of research management, but we're looking at it from a completely holistic point of view, following up what my colleagues have been saying, because we define research management from planning and establishing a research strategy with an academic institution all the way to the end of the commercialization, finding the product on the shelf. So as the Commission's philosophy, it includes research, development, and innovation. So it is not only the project development and project management part, but the whole holistic process. And we believe that this holistic approach is actually very important for creating societal benefit, which is the ultimate aim of the Commission. Now, I think we all like to learn from best practices, and research management as a career and as a profession is now at a stage where technology transfer was about 10 years ago, and we have an official recognition system, the RTTP, Registered Technology Transfer Professional Certificate System, which has been evolving through the years, so maybe we can learn from those best practices. And I believe that it is necessary, it will be very beneficial if we can establish a very core think tank group across countries and across sectors, from academia, from industry, from maybe NGOs, so that research outputs are complemented and evaluated better to make a better societal impact through good research management in the holistic sense. So how would the Commission look at a proposal like that, establishing a think tank group across sectors and across countries, maybe collecting best practices and approaches, because differences is our wealth. So thank you very much.
Well, having the big picture in mind is always extremely important. I completely agree with you on this, and that we need to have the whole picture in our mind while planning any policy. This is indeed really important to us, and I would say we are not in the framework of a think tank, but in the form of different stakeholder consultations, different discussions. We are already talking with a lot of different experts from a lot of different regions, backgrounds, and formations. So this is something we are already doing a lot. Of course, there's always place to improve this. We can always do better. This is something we are committed to, that you never made the best job last time. You can always do it better. And this learning from previous experience is actually something which is already institutionalized in the Commission, that we have, or when we start a new exercise, when we start a new policy making, when we start to implement new actions, we always look before what is already done similar to this, what is already done. So we are aware of the lessons learned from previous exercise. So this is indeed something we are trying to improve all the time, but it's already done. But if you want to have discussion later what's on this, I will be open to discuss this more in detail.
Thank you. We'll have to now close the discussion. I would like to thank the speakers. I believe it's very important to understand what's being on with the projects that were funded, and also to have the opportunity to ask questions to the European Commission and probably raise some challenges that we can also collectively join forces towards. Thank you for the auditorium. Thank you for the colleagues at home. This is the kickstart of the discussions. We will continue the discussions throughout the day, but for the colleagues at home, we still wanted to have for them to understand what's being on at the European level, but also to have the insights and to understand what also we as a community are putting our questions forward, and also to get the answers from the colleagues. So thank you very much. We will return in at past, but you will, once we get out, you will see that you will have a coffee break waiting for us, but don't go there yet. Follow us to the group photo, and then we will come back to the coffee, okay? Thank you, and see you soon. Bye-bye. So now all to the outside of the building for a group photo.